Ian Dollard.
Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Liz Reddy. Today's top stories. The Taoiseach has said allegations of bullying by Fine Gael members in Waterford will be investigated by the party. A new mortuary will be built at University Hospital Waterford after funding of more than €5.5 million was approved. And in sport, Tramore-born Jim Goodwin is the hot favourite to be appointed new manager of Scottish Premier League club St Mirren. The Taoiseach has said the allegations of bullying by Fine Gael members in Waterford will be investigated by the party in the coming weeks. A recent local election candidate confirmed that she's lodged an official complaint with the Taoiseach and the chair of the parliamentary party. Fiona Dowd said the nature of the complaint is regarding the constituency meeting held in Dungarvan, where a motion of no confidence in TD John Deasy was passed. The complaint is also about the general conduct within certain members of the Fine Gael party in Waterford. Waterford Senator Paddy Coffey said the split in the party was not a personal one between him and Mr Deasy, but it was based on what he claimed was widespread dissatisfaction amongst Fine Gael members with the TD's performance. The motion of no confidence in Mr Deasy was put forward by Mr Coffey's brother. Fiona Dowd claimed there was a complete mob mentality at the gathering, where she was shouted down when she attempted to speak. These people in Dungarvan gave WLR's Owen Dalton their thoughts on Deputy Deasy after events of the past 2 days.
I think, in fairness to him, he has served the county well, and I thought it was a bit harsh.
Would you think he might get elected if he went again?
I have absolutely no idea.
He's non-existent.
Would you be a Fine Gael voter yourself?
No, I wouldn't. But I have voted for Fine Gael.
Would you vote for Deasy himself? Or?
I did at one stage, but never ever again.
He has helped people in the past, I know that. People do still respect him, yes, definitely.
I'm disappointed in John Deasy. I think he's been taking a back seat along the way. He hasn't been active at all. You know, that's the general run now. I think that everybody thinks the same thing, to be honest.
Would you like to see him go again for the Dáil, or what do you think?
I'd be unsure. I'd prefer to see somebody else.
The Taoiseach Leo Varadkar was asked about the case this morning.
I know John Deasy quite well. I appointed him as representative in the United States. He's done a very good job in that regard. He hasn't to date come to me with evidence of bullying in Waterford, but if he's now making that allegation, well, then that has to be taken seriously and that has to be investigated. But as I say, there's a long-standing split of the local organisation there. It's come to a head and we need to bring it to a close, and I intend to do that as party leader over the next couple of months.
A Dungarvan businessman has defended John Deasy. Joe O'Riordan, who contested the local elections in Dungarvan last month as an independent, says the TD's problem is that he isn't highlighting the work he's doing abroad.
I'm not a Fine Gael voter, but what I will say is this. When I heard all this going on, I looked up this morning where John Deasy was, and I discovered that he was an envoy for the Irish government in the US at a critical time, I would say, in US politics, and a critical time for Irish people who were immigrants in New York. And I checked a little bit more about it, and I found out about the work that he's doing there. And I just feel my perception of the situation is that people actually don't know what he's doing in America. And I believe that he's probably scored a bit of an own goal himself, and that he should probably be highlighting his work better than he has been highlighting it.
A new mortuary will be built at University Hospital Waterford after funding of more than €5.5 million was approved. Sinn Féin TD for Waterford, David Culnan, has received a letter from the HSE which says the facility will open in June 2021. Earlier this year, a group of consultants wrote to the HSE to say the hospital's mortuary was over capacity and some dead bodies had to be stored on corridors. Deputy David Culnan says if it wasn't for their letter, the new mortuary may never have gotten approval.
Well, it shows that pressure works, and had it not been for the 4 consultant pathologists who went public on the poor state of the mortuary services and what was happening, I don't believe that the funding would have been released. So I think it is good news for people right across the South East.
Unless robotic equipment is put in place in the oncology unit at University Hospital Waterford, cancer surgeries will not be possible in 5 years' time. New consultant academic oncologist Mr Peter Neary has examined the department and a business case is now being prepared, which is expected to be submitted in early August. The technology is being used in the other cancer care services centres nationally. In reply to a question from David Culnan, the Minister for Health said the hospital group is fully supporting the submission for the introduction of robotic-assisted surgery at University Hospital Waterford.
They are currently preparing a business plan. I think it's important that all Oireachtas members now support that application, that we get this technology in. There are 8 cancer centres in the state. 7 of them have these robotic services. Waterford does not. I'm not sure why this wasn't progressed in the past, but it has now been looked at, and I think we have to make sure, given that we are one of the designated cancer centres, that we have the technology and the equipment. I think it's an application for funding now that needs to be prioritised.
A man has been arrested by Gardaí investigating the murder of a woman in Kilkenny in the 1980s. 34-year-old Marie Tierney went missing from her home in Jenkinstown on October 22nd, 1984. Her car was located later the same day and Marie's body was found by Gardaí during a search of the Bleach Road in Kilkenny in December 1984. A murder investigation was then launched. The body of the mother of 2 was exhumed last year. Gardaí arrested a man this morning who's being detained at Kilkenny Garda Station, where he can be held for up to 24 hours. A woman in her 30s has been killed in a stabbing in Dublin. It happened in the early hours of this morning at the Binary Hub Apartments in the Bonham Street area of Dublin 8. A man in his 30s is in custody at Kevin Street Garda Station. A tech meetup is taking place in Waterford this evening. The event brings industry experts to the southeast to talk about tech and a panel discussion at Boxworks in the city at 7 p.m. Organiser Lee Griffin is an engineer and manager at Red Hat in Waterford.
So there's a lot of tech leaders from various parts of Ireland coming and descending on Waterford to go and talk about cloud and programming and productivity and talk about their companies and life in the tech sphere. And it's a real cross-dimensional group that we have in there. We've got students, we've got job seekers, we've got people with years of experience. And it's just a great social place to mingle and talk about tech.
He outlined some of the key speakers.
We got Sasa Kovacic, who's a cloud solutions architect at Microsoft. We've also got a couple of local speakers as well. John Rellis, who's a tech lead with ServiceBot, going to be talking about cloud and the chat industry that's out there. So how can you automate your chat-based systems? And lastly, we have Padraig Howland, the VP of Engineering at Distilled. They're not just going to be talking about the technical side of it. It's literally about the life, a day in the life of what these people work at, what their teams work at, and how you could help join companies like this.
WLR Sport.
Thanks to Boland's Hyundai Waterford. Preview the award-winning 192 Hyundai range. See bolands.com.
Tremor-born Jim Goodwin is the hot favourite to be appointed the new manager of Scottish Premier League club St Mirren. The 37-year-old has been the manager of Lewis Athletics since 2016 and led them to promotion to the Scottish Championship. Last season he kept the part-time club in that league against all the odds. St Mirren parted company with their manager Oran Carney yesterday and immediately Jim Goodwin was nominated as the front runner to replace him. The Northern Irishman only took over at the club in September last year. However, his weekly trips to his Ballymoney home reportedly caused tensions with St Mirren's board. Yesterday, the club cancelled Saturday's pre-season friendly with Carney's former side, Coleraine. Waterford FC and high-flying Bohemians clash at the RC on Friday in the Premier League. The two teams have cancelled each other out in the previous games to date this season. Rory Feely, the Tremor-born defender, says home advantage could swing the game in their favour on this occasion.
Every game we seem to play against both seems to be a 0-0 draw with a bit of stalemate. They're good games. Like, we're both kind of football playing teams. We just haven't been able to kind of grab goals from them, but hopefully we can get them at home now, get ourselves a few goals, get the crowd going and get a bit of momentum and come out of the way with 3 points.
Matt Keane will have updates from the game here on WLR. One of the most exciting golfers on the local scene at the moment is Anna Dawson from the Tremor Golf Club. She's a member of the famous Dawson golfing family and has an extremely busy July ahead, as she explained to WLR Sport.
Well, I got picked for the European Young Masters, so I'll travel to Czech Republic with one of my teammates, Beth Coulter, from Kirkenstone Castle. Yeah, I was over the moon. I was really, really happy. It was one of my goals for 2019, so I'm delighted I got it.
Prior to her trip to the Czech Republic, Anna will be in action next week at Laytown Bettystown.
I'm playing in the Leinster Girls Championship in Laytown Bettystown. Yeah, it's fabulous. Can't wait to get out and start playing there next week. I played a few holes there last month when I was playing the Irish Women's Open in County Louth. I took a trip over to play a few holes. Yeah, I was really impressed. It's really nice.
The Semelise Campfire International Horse Trials and Country Fair will take place from the 25th to the 28th of July on the banks of the Blackwater River in County Waterford. International competitors from New Zealand, Japan and France will join Ireland's top Olympic riders for a weekend of competition at the highest level. Leo Powell is editor of the Irish Field. He says it's a major event.
Probably in Ireland, eventing doesn't get the credit it deserves sometimes. I suppose show jumping over many years has been the popular sport of the man on the street, but eventing it's a very tough sport. In Ireland in recent years we've seen the development of a number of really high class events, Campfire being one of them, and it's wonderful to see that on its 10th anniversary it's recognised with the Nations Cup.
Sports news on WLR brought to you by Boland's Waterford.